Hi everybody, it's Darlene back here for our Creative Arts Collaboration Group's August hashtag. And we have been given the assignment of doing the theme animals. So I thought, oh, this is a piece of cake, no problem. Thought I'll just do a 12 by 12 layout, should be great. I'll throw a little mixed media in there, play around. I'm far from a professional knowing how to do mixed media, but I like to play around with it. Thought it would be no problem. Wrong. Two dogs here that were going to be my subject matter don't want their picture taken. I have tried everything. I finally think I have one I can possibly work with, but I wanted to share with you. It has been crazy trying to get a photo with me and my two dogs. So I'll throw in a couple of crazy oopses that I'm never going to use just for a little humor. But we're going to head on into the craft room and I'm going to see what I can do with this one photo that I managed to get. Thank you for my husband Tom's patience. He just kept snapping away till we got something worthwhile or something that I could at least try to work with. Oh yes, you're so helpful. Yes, I know. How about if you turn around and tell the folks, I know I love you too, dear. Yes, you're such a good girl. How about you turn around? Which is what I had a problem with your photo before. Turn around, sit down right here, turn around and tell everybody, come on, say, okay, look in the camera, see right up there, and say, our hashtag for this month is pawgustart. All one word. Whoops, there she goes. See what I went through? Pawgustart is our hashtag for this month. Share with you what my plan is for the layout on this. I think I'm going to put like the picture here in the center. This is the picture that I managed to get. It's the best I could get. She seems a little resistant, doesn't she? She's still trying to pull away from me. But I want to put this picture here in this kind of toward the bottom but center it a little bit. And I know I have a lot of area over here that's empty space. I didn't crop the picture because I thought that I would take and layer on top. I want to use some of my the poppies that I made on my Flower of the Month video. I want to add some tags. The main reason for doing this layout is I wanted to kind of document this summer with all of her health issues and how we're getting her back to normal, and still some of the things she still has to go through yet. She's still got all her hair under here she has to grow back. She's got a cauliflower ear here. She's had 3 hematomas in this ear, 1 in that ear. Numerous things that we've gone through, all of the yeast and the bacterial infections in her feet, and she's done really well. We really thought we were going to lose her. So I kind of wanted to tuck some journaling cards maybe behind, and it'll be maybe just a little private letter that I want to leave for the family so that they can read what this little angel has gone through and how well she's doing. And we hope to have her for many, many years, but luckily we still have her. She just turned 7, and so Gretchen's gonna have her own little scrapbook page with Mom, and so that's my plan. So what I do first of all usually is I always cut just a piece of paper just for reference. So I just have a scrap paper that was a 5 by 7 picture. And I think what I'm going to do is just do some stenciling, some sprays, something out to the side. But I want to cut this down a little bit because I'm going to put this on the back of, I'm sorry, on the front of another piece of cardstock. And I want like a 1/2 inch around the edge. So I'm going to trim this on 2 sides. An inch. I'll put this a little less because there's a spot on this bottom where it was torn out of the paper pad. It has a jagged, well, it probably doesn't matter because I'm actually going to distress this, but we'll just start out nice and clean. So it's 11 by 11. That will give me a nice 1/2 inch around the edge. Now I'm going to do some sewing and lots of different texturizing going on with this layout. So I think where I'll start first, let me clean this up, and I'm going to just do some spritzing. I'm working on that McGill base mat. It's kind of like a craft sheet. So if you get some glare up here, I'm sorry, but I really need to have something that I can wipe off, and I needed a larger place to work on here. So I think I will start out with, I have a stencil somewhere here, a little flower stencil. Let's do some red ink maybe and some flowers, and I'm just kind of gonna let it come off, and I'm gonna make it very I guess I want to say very uneven. There's not going to be, it's not going to be neat and clean, and I'm just going to go for it. So I've got barn door distress ink that I'm using, and I am going to just do a little stenciling here. And I don't even need to go over to the edge. I want it to look real organic. Push down harder in some spots, other places can be lighter. And this is why I use this paper, because I can see, all right, do I want it to come out more? Do I want it to come out less? Make sure I don't go too far. So over here I want a little bit of color, but it doesn't need to be a tremendous amount. You can obviously go farther in, and then you're going to have your page or your photo covering it up. So that's not ever going to be a problem. We'll go out here. Just kind of have a little bit of fun with the ink. Doesn't have to have the stencil on it all the time. Now let's see if that's as far as I want it to be. I'm going to put it right here just to make sure everything's covered up. Alright, let's see what we have. There we go. Alright, I think I'm going to stop with that. Wipe off my stencil. Some of you asked me to go with a step-by-step, so I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to have to fast forward in this one and do a little time lapse, but I want to give you guys what you'd like. So you want to see some of the process, and I understand that. I just don't want to bore everybody either. So let me know what you think about this. If you would rather me do it step-by-step, slowly, or if you'd like a time lapse and just not have to sit through a couple parts or very boring stages of this. I don't even know if this is available anymore, but this is Mr. Huey's Color Mist, and I have it in Custard. I have had this for a good 5 years, and I am going to spritz this, so shake it up really well, and I am just going to get some nice cool spray effects on here. And I want quite a bit here. See if I can get this to kind of start to drip down just a little bit. So I'm going to let this dry. Alright, this is still a little damp, but that's not going to hurt for right now. I'm going to take some of the Perfect Copper for the Perfect Pearls Mist line, and I want to just add a little bit more spray and drips coming down. And the same with here. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll start doing some distressing on the edge and mounting it onto the back cardstock. Alright, this is nice and dry now. You can probably see how that copper has dried. It's real pretty. Now I'm going to take some frayed burlap distress ink, and I'm going to hold the paper up. This is pretty thin paper. It's very thin scrapbook paper. So I am going to just ink this edge, and as this paper starts to get wet from the distress ink, I'm going to let the side of this tool kind of distress it, kind of do a 2-in-1. I want it to almost tear. If it doesn't tear naturally, I want to help it a little bit, and then as it tears, I'm going to ink along that edge. Alright, I've cut a backing black piece of cardstock just 1/8 of an inch bigger. So it's 11 1/8 by 11 1/8. And what I'm going to do is adhere this down, just giving a very small reveal around the back. I thought that if I did that, it would give a little bit of an extra dimension and anchor the picture by putting it on then my regular piece. And then we hold up the picture, and it brings out the dark shading that I have in the photo of Gretchen, and it just brings it all together. Plus my poppies have that black in there, so as we place those on, you could kind of see how the colors are brought together. Then I'm going to bring out a little bit of another color, probably a blue, a light blue maybe, to bring out into my jeans, just to kind of make the whole thing flow together really nicely, and then we'll have a title. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere the back papers together, and then we'll start decorating a few more embellishments on here. Okay, so I want these edges all rumpled up and crooked. Actually, I think I'll just tear this one again. Give it a little more ink. You can stop when you think it's the way you want it. This is what I'd like, so I'm going to stop here. Put that other page on, that other paper on. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it looks close to perfect. So that's pretty much the background. And then I'll be adding a lot of other different things in layers as we go. But that's the start of the layout. Alright, I've cut a piece of pattern paper. It's about 7 3/8 inches wide by 6 1/4. And it's basically just a little mat for the picture that would have a little reveal. I know it's hard to see on this mat. But it brings out a little bit of blue. It still draws the pink and the red and the orangey colors together. A little bit of beige for the wall. So it all makes the eye flow really nicely. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of that frayed burlap again. And I don't want to over distress, but I do want to get rid of this white edge. I don't like the white edge on paper when it's in a layout like this. So I really try to just tap the edge. So I'm being very gentle with it. I'm not making it too distressed, like I said. There, that's a little bit better. I don't know if you're able to see it, but in person it is a little bit better. Alright, so then we're going to move on to some embellishment down here. Decide what I want to put over here. I kind of think I want to put the date. I always put the date on and my name. And a spot, I think I'll have some tags going down this way where I can journal and like tuck them behind. So I'm not going to adhere this down yet till I lay out a few more little embellishments, and we'll walk through a little layout here, and then we'll adhere it all down and we'll be done. Alright, now I want to take these tags. These are like I think they're number 8 manila tags from the Inkssentials, and I want to, like, when this is done, I want to have like maybe one here, put a title on here, and then have maybe another one a little bit lower. So I don't want, if you look and see how high this is going to go, I don't want to glue this whole background down. I want to stop the glue around about right there, I would say. So just as a guideline, this is about 2 inches. So I'm just going to do a rough mark in the back of this mat, and I'm going to put some liquid adhesive from this point below. Now I can run the regular glue, my ATG gun here. Anything that's not going to be close to the tag, I can put ATG, but the tags could slide over when they're in the layout and they could hit over here. So I'm going to run liquid glue here and up the sides before I place it down. Once the liquid glue dries, it doesn't remain tacky, it stays firm, and that way I know that I'm not going to have a problem with my tag getting stuck if I want to pull it out and read what I wrote about Gretchen's recovery and what actually did happen to her and how long it took, and refer back to it. I didn't take a lot of pictures of her when she was so sick, so it broke my heart. I really thought we were going to lose her, and so when she got the bacterial infection and the yeast infection and she was all swollen up and so sick, I didn't have the heart to, I don't think I even want to remember what she looked like. I mean, it's bad enough she still has all that hair that she has to grow back, but she's doing really well now. She had, for those of you who don't know, she had a problem with her ears, and they thought maybe she was getting an ear infection. But it turned out that she didn't have an ear infection, that she was starting to get a little bit of yeast growing way down in her ears, but it really wasn't noticeable. They weren't able to pick it up right away. So we were having a really hard time figuring out why she was so miserable. And, alright, now, I think I have another tag over here. I mean, we're going to make this kind of a taggy type of layout. So if I put this here and layer it, and then do some writing here and put the date on here, I'm going to leave this. I think I'm going to hold off still, and maybe I'm going to put something else under here, and I want to layer it like between here, so I'm not going to put this picture down yet. So where was I with that story? I'm sorry. So what I had done was we went and we got some eardrops. They did some testing, and they decided that the yeast was starting in her ears, so we needed a few eardrops. Well, I put her eardrops in, but they also told me that I needed to clean her ears. So when I cleaned her ears, she had a horrible, like a allergic reaction to the ear cleaner. And she was shaking hysterically. And it was so bad, I had to rush her to the ER. And the ER wasn't open, even though I thought there were people in there, but they weren't an ER during normal business hours, which I did not realize. So they had to call another local vet, because our vet is probably like 30 minutes away from our home, and the ER was like 10 minutes away. And we have a vet right up in town that we don't go to, but they were able to take her. By the time I got her there, she had 106-degree temperature, which is very dangerous. They were afraid that we were going to lose her. She was going to stroke out. And so we had to give her an IV. We had to give her injections of steroids, which I am against, but you know, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So we did that, and I'm just going to add a couple things here while I'm finishing this little story. And so what we did was got her all calmed down. They wet her down. They put her in front of a fan. They pretty much just gave me lots of medication. I had to give her prednisone pills for the next 10 days. I had to give her antacids because when she went through everything that she went through, it could have caused ulcers in her stomach, which it didn't, but we had to play it safe, so I had to give her that. In the meantime, we go to a holistic vet, and so he was doing what he does best. So he was taking care of her with supplements and holistic type of treatments. She's on raw food. We just had started her on that. I had to basically do a detox on her on top of it. So, all right, I'm going to do that little strip right there, and then I think I want to do, I have some of Tim Holtz's tissue tape. I want to put that on too. I'm going to flip it around so it's a little closer to me. So we did that. We did all of her medications, and she was doing amazing. Everything was wonderful. 10 days later, she was like a new dog. Everything was fine. I let her go outside and play with my daughter's dog, Daisy, and she's a Jack Russell, and they were playing, and I thought, oh, I'm going to let them dig and play in the yard and have a really great time. It's nice to see her happy and healthy again. I just want her to have a good time. They were out digging in the yard. Now, this was in the spring. This was like in April. Digging in the yard, having a blast, and within 20 minutes, this dog's feet blew up like a balloon. It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Then her whole muzzle started swelling up, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we have got another problem. So, back to the doctor, found out, I went to the holistic vet this time, and he tested her. They do like a, what is that called? I'm sorry, muscle testing. And they're able to find out what she's got issues with by putting certain types of allergens up against her body, and then if the muscle reacts, they know that there's a weakness there, and that's a problem. So we decided we were going to deal with the bacterial infection next by doing the old-fashioned no more steroids. What had happened was the steroids shut her immune system down. She got into some dirt that had some spores in it in the spring. She had a reaction to the spores, caused a bacterial infection, spread all over her face, her muzzle, her eye, her feet. It was going gangbusters. Then after we saw that happening, her feet were getting all infected, her nail beds. I had to soak her feet in Epsom salts every night. It was just, she was in pain. It was just horrible. And when we started getting a handle on that, we were doing all sorts of, we had to put Neosporin on her feet, but they can't lick that, so the Neosporin had to be covered up, so then I had to put socks on her. And we got all of that done, and she started getting better there, and then she started getting a yeast infection. And the yeast was all over her muzzle. It got real thick, and she lost all of her hair, and it was all swollen. It was just really, all right, I think that's a little crooked. Once I turned it over, I want to straighten it out before that glue sets up. It was just really hard on her. It was just really a rough experience. So, lots of up and downs, but, you know, we had a couple relapses, but she's good to go now. She's got her personality back. She's spunky, as you could tell by my intro. She's doing amazing. But she's got a long way to go with her hair. The hematomas in her ears came from the shaking and the flailing with the temperature and the ear issues and just, and you know, I wasn't about to put her through surgery and everything. I thought, you know what, if my little girl has a short ear, I'm alright with it. I'd rather her be happy. So, alright, so I've got a little bit of a decoration up here. I'm going to put, you know, we'll make these fancy. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to put the black one here and, you know, you can layer them, whatever. We'll do those last. Maybe tie some bows on here, something like that. So I need to do a little bit of embellishment here and at the bottom. And so we'll leave this here until I figure out what I want to do next. So let this dry and set up. I'll be back with some decoration over here. And I want to put this tag underneath this picture, about, just sneak it in underneath. I don't want to cover up too much of the background, so I think I'm going to cut off about this much of the tag. I'm just going to snip it off. And ink those edges that are going to show. This is going to be like a little backdrop for those poppies to sit on. So I put like a flower here, flower there, and then we'll put some other foliage around. But that'll be a nice little tag underneath there. Kind of keep the tag theme going. Right, so I will adhere that down. Let's see where I want this at. I want to leave a little bit of room here. And get that straight before I press it down. And then we'll put the picture down. Alright, so now I can decide where I want to put these flowers. I also have another flower here that I think what I'd like to do is have your eye go up and around, because I want to have the title up here, like I had said. So if I put this flower here, I think I'll stack them so that this one's cocked this way and this one's cocked this way. But I'm going to do some die cutting here real quick and then add add a little bit to the layout. And I think what I'm going to do to help with the length of this video is to do a little bit of a time lapse when I do some final little touches all over the layout. But I wanted to share with you how I do a little bit of this. I'm going to put that one on. I thought I would I want to overlap it. So depending on the look that I want, these can place and overlap. So I've got this, I've got a few things I want to put here. I'll die cut some things out. So I'm going to do a little bit of a time lapse now and let you see how I decorate it. We'll come back, we'll do the tags for up here and then some stitching around the edge, and I'll just do regular time on that. Alright, so I'm just going to do one last thing on the sewing machine. I'm just going to do a little bit of stitching here and then a little bit of stitching down here just to balance it out a bit. This journaling tag, I put the 10 things that I love about you, meaning Gretchen, and then I'll just do a little bit of journaling here, and then I will probably take a sheet of paper and write the story down and just put it behind there. So this tag is secured on, as you saw that I glued that on. This one's movable. So let's head on over to the sewing machine and I'll do a little bit of stitching. Alright, I have done the decorative stitching here on the one side, and then I've done a little bit down here like I said I was going to do. And I thought it was completely done, but what I like to do is sit back and look at it, and I know I have you zoomed in here, but I thought this was a little too bright for the look of this page. So I'm going to take the gathered twigs. You can tell I've already done it to the G. I wanted to practice a little bit and see if I liked it. And all I'm going to do is just take the ink and I'm just going to dull it down a little bit. Not the whole thing, just areas. You can tell that just smooths that brightness out just a little bit. I want it to look a little vintagey. So I'm just going to put a little bit of ink on there. Then I will back you out and you can see that I think we can call this one finished. Alright, let's back out and see if I need to put any more for the look that it's, obviously it's a personal opinion. So if you think you need a little bit more, put a little bit more on. Alright, I want to back you out a little bit. Sorry about the glare, everybody, with the lights over here, but this is the final piece. What I always do is just, I flip it over to the side a little bit, and I always just put my name over here. Just do a quick little signature on the side. I like to always sign my things. You can sign it on the back if you want. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you have a great time looking at everybody else's projects. Thanks for stopping in. Bye for now.